This video is for section 1-7, adding and subtracting real numbers. In Algebra 1, you added and subtracted positive and negative numbers all the time. Maybe you got really good at that, but a little review can't hurt. So let's review adding real numbers. Here's an example problem, -2 plus -3. Maybe you know right away that the answer is -5. The reason the answer is -5 is because of one of the axioms we studied earlier. This is equivalent to the negative of 2 plus 3, which is -5. Here's another example. -7 plus -1. Maybe you know right away that the answer is -8. The reason it is because this can be written as the negative of 7 plus 1. I'm going to pause the video for you to try this next one yourself. This is equal to negative of 18 plus 5, which is -23. In an Algebra 2 class, we want to get to the point where you can add these two numbers together mentally and get the correct answer, -23, as fast as possible. Next, explain how you will add two negative numbers this year. How can you put into words what was going on in these three examples? I'll pause the video for you to think of that. Everybody's going to have a different way that they think about adding negative numbers. And as long as the technique works, it's fine. One thing that could be written here is the answer is the negative of the sum of their absolute values. We could apply this rule to this math problem. We want to add these negative numbers. The answer is the negative of the sum of their absolute values. The absolute value of -5 is 5, the absolute value of -2 is 2, and 5 and 2 is 7. Let's look at another adding problem. 5 plus -3. Maybe you know right away that that answer is 2, but here is why the answer is 2. The number 5 is equivalent to 2 plus 3. To that, let's add the -3. 3 plus -3 is 0, so this answer is just 2. Here's another example, -8 plus 6. Maybe you know right away that that answer is -2, but here's why it's -2. We can rewrite the -8 as -2 plus -6, and to that add the 6. The -6 plus 6 makes 0, so the result is -2. I'm going to pause the video for you to try this next example yourself. And here's the answer. -5 can be rewritten as -2 plus -3. Then add the 3. And the answer is -2. Can you explain how you will add a negative and positive number? I'll pause the video for you to think about that. Everybody's going to have a different way that they think about adding positive and negative numbers together. And as long as the technique always works, then it's fine. Here's one thing that could be written down. Use the sign from the number with the greater absolute value and find the difference of their absolute values. Let's apply that to this math problem. -6 plus 12. 12 has the greater absolute value between a -6 and 12, so the answer is positive. The difference between 6 and 12 is 6. Or think about this example. 8 plus -11. -11 has the greater absolute value between an 8 and a -11, so the answer is negative. The difference between 8 and 11 is 3. Next, let's review subtracting real numbers. This is done by using the definition of subtraction. If A and B are real numbers, then A subtract B is equal to A plus the opposite of B. By applying this definition, every subtraction problem can be rewritten as an adding problem, and then the adding rules can be used. First example, 12 subtract negative 4. Maybe you know right away that that's 16, but here's why it's 16. This can be rewritten as 12 plus positive 4, which is 16. Next example, negative 20 subtract negative 5. Perhaps you know that's negative 15, but here's why. This can be rewritten as negative 20 plus positive 5. Now apply one of the two adding rules. This is a negative number plus a positive number. The answer will have a negative sign because the absolute value of 20 is greater than the absolute value of 5, and the difference between 20 and 5 is 15. I'm going to pause the video for you to try this next example. And here's the answer. This can be rewritten as negative 16 plus negative 8. And now these two negative numbers can be added together. The answer is negative 24. How can you write in words how to subtract real numbers? I'll pause the video for you to think about that. Again, everyone has a different way that they think about subtracting. As long as your technique always works, then it's fine. One thing that could be written is rewrite as an addition problem. Let's try one more example and use that rule. 3 subtract 20. This can be rewritten as 3 plus negative 20. Now it's an adding problem where one number is positive and the other is negative. The answer is negative, and the difference between 3 and 20 is 17. Unlike addition, subtraction is not commutative. Show this by completing the statement. 11 subtract 5 is not equal to 5 subtract 11. 11 subtract 5 is 6, but 5 subtract 11 makes negative 6. Unlike addition, subtraction is not associative. Show this by completing the statement. Subtracting 12 and 5 first and then subtracting 2 is not equal to 12 subtract parentheses 5 subtract 2. 12 minus 5 is 7, and 7 take away 2 makes 5. But over here, working in the parentheses first, 5 subtract 2 makes 3, and 12 minus 3 makes 9. Let's summarize the lesson. We reviewed how to add positive and negative numbers together and how to subtract positive and negative numbers. You should make it a goal in Algebra 2 class to always get these problems correct and to do them as fast as possible.